Hi, my name is Maceo Lewis, and welcome to my YouTube movie review channel. Today I'm going to talk about Saturday Night, and right now I'm in Vegas. I'm here to see Hans Zimmer perform and also the Raiders game, Raiders versus Steelers. So I'm really excited to see both of those events. But I'm going to use this weekend to kind of go over some movies that seen over the past couple of weeks that are still currently playing in theaters, and I just want to give my thoughts, not on every one of them, but just some of them that I've been really thinking about over the past couple of days. And that one of them happens to be Saturday Night. So overall, I recommend Saturday Night. It to me it was really funny. I was laughing hysterically throughout this whole movie. I went there to go see it with my wife. She was mostly laughing with it too, but there were some scenes where she was kind of looking at me funny because I was laughing at some of the jokes. So I'm gonna get to that later on in this review. It's not a movie for kids. There's a lot of foul language, a lot of jokes that have to do with the male anatomy. So I wouldn't take any your kids to see it. But if you're an adult and you like that kind of humor, which I'm gonna talk about later in this review, then yeah, go see it. I had a good, I had a blast with it. In fact, for me, it was the humor that carried this movie. Now, this movie is about perseverance. That's basically what the theme of the movie is. So you're off. I'm sure everyone's sort of familiar with Saturday Night Live. I watched Saturday Night a little bit as a young adult. Not back in this era because I wasn't born in '75, but definitely probably throughout the '90s and 2000s, I would say. I stopped watching the show like right around the time of the pandemic. I just didn't think it was funny. It was just like a waste of time, so I just stopped watching it. But I do respect the show. It's been going on since the 1970s, and it's been a hit for. I mean, it's on the air for a reason, right? So this movie, it's not about the success that this show has garnered throughout the last 5 or 6 decades. It's mostly about the hour and a half prior to the first airing of the show, when I guess back then it was called Saturday. Now it's called Saturday Night Live, but back then it was called Saturday Night, and it's basically delves into all the chaos, the struggles. You had like lights falling all over the place. You had actors walking off set, and the the guy who was basically trying to put the show on, Lorne Michaels, was dealing with all these struggles, and ultimately led to this moment where the show gets this green light. So the green light, I'm calling it the green light because that's how I remember the term, but basically it's the point where the executive, played by William Defoe, says, yes, you got the green light to go live. So that's the MacGuffin of this movie. Now, the positives, right off the bat, I was taking back to the 1970s, again, even though I wasn't born there, just by the production design and the score. So I thought the movie was really effective in the production elements, like basically taking you back into that era with the costumes and everything. I thought that was great. The acting was really good. The standout for me in this movie, honestly, was the guy who played Chevy Chase, Corey Michael Smith. You may recognize him as the guy who played the Riddler in Gotham. He was a standout, and he really depicted Chevy Chase well. His lines were really funny, and he to me was like the standout. But there are other great performances in this movie. You had the guy who played Dan Aykroyd, Dylan O'Brien, uh, Matthew Reese from The Americans. He played George Carlin. He was great. Matt Wood. I never heard of Matt Wood, but he played John Belushi pretty well. And William Defoe. I'm glad William Defoe has a meaningful role in this movie. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Beetlejuice. I mean, you could have cut him out, and he was pointless in Beetlejuice. But in this movie, he had an important role because he played the executive that was ultimately going to give the green light to this movie. So the humor was great. To me, like I said before, it carried the movie. I'm not gonna sit there and repeat the lines because I'm not a professional comedian, so I won't be able to do it justice. But there was a joke about like the budget being so high that it was like a ransom note. The Chevy Chase lines. The scene where he's like in this room, he's kind of like owning the room in front of all these executives that they have to impress. The oh, the J.K. Simmons. Oh my gosh. uh, yeah, I don't know if I should talk about that one. It involves a part of the male anatomy, but that scene was funny because it involved the Chevy Chase character, and he was basically um, putting him in his place right in front of this girl that he had brought to the party, which would turn out to be like a call girl or one of those girls that you hire to show off as your girlfriend, but they're just really an escort. Yeah, that scene was wild. Now the negatives. So humor is subjective. So humor is not going to work the same for everything. Like I might find something that's really hilarious, and you might find something the same thing as offensive. You might find it just not funny, and so that's one of the weak points about the movie. Is like if the humor doesn't work for you, then you're probably not going to like this movie. Uh, there's a scene that involves that basically part of the whole struggle and the chaos in the movie has to do with this contract dispute between Johnny Carson and the NBC executives. And so there was a line dropped in the movie, and it was important because um, it shows how the struggle, the perseverance that this team had to go through, and like basically what they're told is like this show was like destined to fail. Like you guys aren't anything because the only reason why you're here is because of this contract dispute. And so the reason why I'm struggling to explain because like in the movie I really didn't understand what was going on with that. So it kind of like for me it detracted away from the movie because I couldn't really follow along what what exactly was the motivations behind this contract dispute and why they would um, put this team together in the first place. If they wanted to fail, then why make a show anyway? Like I just didn't get in that moment. And then even after the movie, I turned to my wife and I was like, "Did you understand that part?" And so she kind of explained to me, but still, I thought it was a little bit distracting. It wasn't enough to dislike the movie, but I got the point though. I got the point. The point was these people were destined to fail. The show really wasn't about them, and it's just like one of those other obstacles that they had to overcome in order to get to that green light moment. When I went through the characters, you didn't hear me really mention Lauren Michaels as one of the good performances. There was nothing wrong with the lead's performance, but it was just more that the other characters to me stood out more, and I mean that's sort of a problem when like you have this main character and you're supposed to be rooting for the main character, and there was nothing wrong with the character itself. It's just more that I was more focused on the other performances like Chevy Chase, George Carlin, and stuff. So that was one of the other problems I had, and the rewatch factor. I mean, I'm fine with just seeing this movie one time in the theater. I may catch it again on streaming or get it on digital, but I really don't have a desire to go see this movie again in the theater. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. It's a thumbs up for me, and I hope you enjoy it too. All right, thank you.